Developing right now on Morning News Now, President Trump on the world stage meeting key allies at the G7 summit in France. The president touting a deal to end the war with Iran and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. But many questions remain about the terms of the agreement and what it could mean for the future of Iran's nuclear program.
If the Iranians comply, benefits will flow to them, and that's what we hope to see. We want them to behave like a normal country. We want them to have a successful country, but only if they do what's necessary to commit long-term to not building a nuclear weapon.
Now, word of the deal sending stocks soaring and oil prices tumbling. We'll bring you the latest. Also, a tragic crash at a California Air Force base. 8 people killed after a B-52 bomber went down during a routine test mission. That crash just days after a fighter jet slammed into a hillside in Washington state. What we're learning from investigators. Plus, more flooding fears across the South as another round of severe storms takes aim at the region. We're tracking the conditions, the dangers, and what you can expect where you live. And pride and patriotism, a new report sounding the alarm on the growing challenges for the LGBTQ plus community under the Trump administration, how one organization is working to fight back. We'll have a conversation with the president of the Human Rights Campaign coming up a little bit later this hour. Good morning. Good to have you with us. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers.
Let's begin this Tuesday morning in France as the G7 summit, that gathering of world leaders, continues.
It's been a busy day already so far for President Trump as the war with Iran remains front and center, just days after announcing an agreement with Iran aimed at ending that conflict. Earlier this morning, the president met with other G7 leaders, along with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, to kick off the day. Now, meetings will continue throughout the day, and a dinner is scheduled for tonight. Well, President Trump arrived in France yesterday and met with French President Emmanuel Macron. The two discussed the peace deal with Iran, but many details about it are not yet public. Vice President Vance also weighed in on Iran in an interview with our Tom Yamis. We will bring you that in just a moment. We'll also dig into the economic impact of a peace deal with Iran in a moment and get you more analysis. But let's begin this hour with NBC News correspondent Alice Barr. She is joining us from France with the latest this morning. Alice, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah and Joe. And President Trump just wrapped up a sit-down with the Emir of Qatar, a country that's been critical in helping to broker what President Trump called a good and fair deal with Iran. He also said that under that agreement, Iran will get blown up if it tries to get a nuclear weapon. Though this morning, we heard from Iran's top diplomat that details of its nuclear program still need to be worked out. President Trump's meetings with G7 allies picking up the pace today, including with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, as Europe pushes for more Ukraine support. President Trump also sitting down with Middle East allies, while we're learning more about the Iran agreement he's calling a done deal.
Iran will not have a nuclear weapon.
The full memorandum of understanding is not yet public. The president says it does not include money or sanctions relief for Iran unless Tehran honors key commitments.
If they do what they're supposed to do, that starts taking effect.
Vice President J.D. Vance telling NBC's Tom Yamis Iran would be rewarded for steps like giving up its stockpile of enriched uranium. He pushed back against comparisons to the Obama-era Iranian nuclear deal, as the former president said it's doubtful any new agreement
is going to be significantly different or a significant improvement.
The Iranian nuclear program has been completely destroyed, and what we're saying is make the long-term commitment not to rebuild it, and you will get the benefits that come with that.
A formal deal signing Friday kicks off a 60-day window for tricky technical talks on Iran's nuclear program, while questions also remain about the vital Strait of Hormuz, which senior U.S. officials say will be fully open without tolls, sending oil prices plummeting, though Iran said it expects to charge oil tankers service fees. And then there's Lebanon, where Israel plans to keep forces stationed in its fight against Iran-backed Hezbollah militants, despite Iranian demands for peace there as part of any broader deal. And President Trump said this morning that Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu needs to be more responsible in his approach toward Lebanon. He praised the leader of Syria and said that he will do the job against Hezbollah if Israel can't do it without, quote, killing everyone else. These two leaders have somewhat different objectives in this war and need to get on the same page for peace to last. Savannah and Joe.
All right, Alice, thank you.
Vice President J.D. Vance has been a key player in these negotiations with Iran. NBC Nightly News anchor Tom Llamas spoke with him about stopping Iran's nuclear program, the president's main justification for starting this war. Here's part of that interview.
Will nuclear inspectors be allowed back in?
Yes, absolutely. That's in fact one of the core parts of the agreement is that the IAEA and the United States are going to help Iran destroy the highly enriched stockpile, and that's something that's spelled out very clearly in the MOU.
Is there a date? Has a date been set on when inspectors will be allowed into Iran?
Well, that's one of the things we're going to talk about on Friday when everybody gets together, signs this agreement, and kicks off the technical negotiations. But our expectation is that there's actually, because there's broad agreement on this, there isn't a whole lot of disagreement on this particular issue. That should happen very quickly. And again, if the Iranians comply, benefits will flow to them. And that's what we hope to see. We want them to behave like a normal country. We want them to have a successful country, but only if they do what's necessary to commit long-term to not building a nuclear weapon.
Mr. Vice President, you're speaking to the American people right now. I want to understand this in the simplest terms. What does Iran need to do before they can be rewarded? What do they have to do to get that money? Do they have to give up their enriched uranium?
Well, we're going to stagger it, right? So giving up the enriched stockpile of uranium, that's the thing that we have focused the most on. They will get benefits for doing that. The cessation of funding of terrorist organization, they will get benefits from that. Making their country investable, they will get benefits from that. So what this is set up as they perform their end of the bargain, then more and more benefits flow to them. If they do less, then less, potentially nothing flows to them, and that's the way that we've set it up.
This deal sounds familiar to some, including to President Obama, who said this in a new interview. I want to play it for you.
It is doubtful that any agreement that arises is going to be significantly different or a significant improvement from the deal that we had in the first place and had worked for a long stretch of time.
What do you say to the former president?
Well, first of all, I just think that's fundamentally not right. If you go back to the Obama JCPOA, what it did is it took an Iranian nuclear program that it accelerated, and it basically bribed the Iranians to stop that program. We're in a totally different position here. The Iranian nuclear program has been completely destroyed, and what we're saying is make the long-term commitment not to rebuild it, and you will get the benefits that come with that. There's a second major difference between the JCPOA and this Trump peace plan, and it's this. The Gulf Arab countries, the countries that have been threatened the most by the Iranian regime over the past 47 years, they hated the JCPOA because they felt that it empowered Iran to be a bad regional actor. Do you know what those same countries say about the Trump peace plan? They say that it's amazing because it transforms the Middle East in a way that makes them more peaceful and more prosperous.
Finally, the president has had some sharp words for Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel. He's called him crazy, ungrateful, lacking judgment. He's used some expletives while saying that. And then you have Netanyahu today saying something very different about this agreement, saying that with or without an agreement, they're not going to change their posturing. Why did the U.S. and Israel get so sideways on this issue?
Well, I think fundamentally the United States, we have our interests. Israel's often a good partner. We also have aligned interests, but also sometimes we're going to disagree on issues from time to time. And I think that's totally reasonable. Even our closest allies from the United Kingdom to Israel, we sometimes have disagreements.
But do you have buy-in from Israel? Isn't that a critical player in all of this?
Well, what we know is that this agreement is going to make Israel safer. It's going to make the entire region safer. We feel quite confident the Israelis are going to be bought in on this agreement once we get a little further down the road.
And our thanks to Tom for that conversation.
For more, let's bring in Max Bergman. He's a director at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Max, good morning. Thanks so much for being with us. So we first heard President Trump weigh in on Iran yesterday during his meeting with the president of France. Let's play a little bit of what we heard there and talk on the other side.
We got along very well with Iran. It's a different set of leaders. As you know, the first set is gone. The second set is gone. And we found the third set to be very smart, strong, very smart, but we ended up making a deal. I want it to be released because it's a very powerful document. It's not like the Obama document, which was just a terrible document. This is a very powerful document, and I want it to be released.
Max, just how closely are our European allies watching and waiting for the details of this agreement to become public? What are they looking for?
They're watching it extremely closely, in part because they care about the details, especially if there is going to be a de facto toll on the Strait of Hormuz. The Europeans care a lot about the law of the sea, about international law, and they have a number of straits in their waterways, the Strait of Gibraltar. There's a strait between Denmark and Sweden that a lot of Russian ships pass through. So is this suddenly an international waterway that will have a tax or a toll? Is something they're going to pay close attention to. Also, the Europeans were part of the whole JCPOA nuclear deal. The EU helped broker that as well. France and the UK as well. And so they're, I think, very interested in Iran's nuclear program. Let's remember the Middle East is much closer to the European Union. They have a lot of concerns about Iran from a security perspective, but also instability leading to another refugee crisis. So lots of concerns from the European perspective about the details of what comes out of this agreement.
Max, in that interview yesterday that we just played with Artem Yamas, the vice president said nuclear inspectors will be allowed back into Iran as part of the deal to end the war. What are some of the challenges that could get in the way of making that a reality?
Well, I mean, we now have a country in Iran that has been heavily bombed, so I'm not sure what the state of its infrastructure is. Also, inspecting the nuclear facilities that have been bombed, I think that will be also incredibly difficult. And I think it's worth remembering that there were IAEA inspectors on the ground until they were kicked out by Iran. But after the collapse of the JCPOA and the bombing last year of Iran's nuclear sites. So, I think we're in a situation of a lot of uncertainty about where things head. The one thing I would say about this deal is it's good that this war hopefully is over, because it doesn't look like the U.S. got anything out of this war, but at least it could end very quickly because it wasn't heading in the right direction for the United States.
Max, the other big topic for this meeting is the war in Ukraine. What kind of assurances are European allies hoping to get from President Trump?
Well, this is interesting because I think we're in just a very different situation than we have been in especially a year ago in 2025, when President Trump famously told President Zelensky in the Oval Office that Ukraine has no cards. Right now, Ukraine has a lot of cards. They are really taking the war to Russia. It looks like the momentum has switched in this conflict to Ukraine. They are continuing to strike deep inside of Russia and really pummeling Russian lines. Russia has made no territorial gains. So I don't think Zelensky goes to meet with Trump, or they just met, and is sort of on bended knee to maintain U.S. assistance. I think the main thing is to maintain U.S. intelligence support, which is really important, and to not undo Russia sanctions, which had been partially weakened because of the war in Iran. We wanted to get Russian oil on the market to reduce global oil prices, so hopefully to snap back sanctions on Russia. So I think right now Zelensky is just hoping the U.S. basically stays where it is, providing some support, but really on the sidelines of this conflict, it is the EU that is now the major financial backer of Ukraine. And so America has just much less of a role in Ukraine than it did a year ago.
All right, Max Bergman, thanks so much for your time.
For now, markets are breathing a sigh of relief after the U.S. and Iran announced this framework agreement to end the conflict. As we've reported, the memorandum would reopen the Strait of Hormuz, lift the U.S. naval blockade, and other sanctions relief if Iran meets these commitments.
As investors react to the possibility of easing tensions, oil prices are falling and stocks are moving higher, with the Dow closing at a record high on Monday. But with the Fed holding its first policy meeting under new chair Kevin Warsh this week, questions remain about what this could mean for inflation, interest rates, and the broader economy.
For more on all this, let's bring in Brooke DePalma, senior reporter at Yahoo Finance. Brooke, good to have you with us. So as we mentioned, stock futures, they're looking good. Oil prices are dropping. Explain what's driving this optimism. And obviously, it's contingent on this framework holding, right?
Exactly. It's contingent upon this framework holding, this agreement actually happening. It seems like we were getting so many potential ceasefires, potential agreements. Now with the signing set to happen on Friday, investors are optimistic that this time is actually it. And this morning in pre-market trading, investors taking a bit of a breather here, but that's after we saw this record close for the Dow on Monday. We also have that record IPO, SpaceX driving the NASDAQ higher. But we are seeing crude oil, U.S. crude, falling below $80 a barrel this morning. That's quite significant because that hasn't been levels seen since pre-war. And so there's this optimism that we will eventually see this agreement happen, but it could take weeks and months for that Strait of Hormuz to reopen.
So while oil prices may be coming down, what do we think for gas prices? What does this look like going forward? Why do energy prices potentially stay high?
Right. Well, energy prices potentially stay high because the Strait of Hormuz, there's so many questions up in the air about how long this will take to reopen, how long this will take to rebuild those levels of oil that we saw prior to the war, and how exactly that will trickle down into everyday gas prices at the pump. Right now, gas prices, you can see on the screen, now sitting at $4.04. That's still higher than what we were back at the end of February. And it all really matters about how fast a ship and crucial, shipping routes feel comfortable passing through the Strait of Hormuz, whether or not those mines get out quickly enough in order for them to feel like they can go through, and whether or not we'll have a toll. On top of that, too, we know that the Strategic Petroleum Reserve in the U.S. is now near record lows, the lowest it's been since the 1980s. So it's going to take some time to rebuild that supply that we had prior to this war.
All of this is happening this week as the Fed meets this week. We have a new chair, Kevin Warsh. Obviously, everyone is kind of keeping an eye on what he's going to do. What do we expect the Fed to do this week? And then what are you going to be listening to when Kevin Warsh speaks? What could be the clues about what the future holds for interest rates?
Right. Well, one expert saying that this is sort of like an uncomfortable debut for Kevin Warsh because he is in this weird position where you have a hot labor market adding hundreds of thousands of jobs. And then on the flip side, you have inflation at 4.2%, the highest it's been in 3 years. And so largely we're expecting the Federal Reserve to sort of take a wait and see approach. They want to understand, is this transitory? Is this energy shock actually going to last? Or once the Strait reopens, will we get those oil flow throughs? And then will energy eventually fall lower in the second half of the year? But we're going to be listening for some tea leaves to understand if Kevin Warsh will take a more dovish take, a.k.a. will he cut rates like he sort of had taken the position from the pressure of President Trump, largely telling him to sort of cut rates? Or will he go along with many members of the Federal Reserve who do think that later on this year, we could see a rate hike because of this higher inflation? Largely, many on the street saying now we don't expect any rate cuts for the rest of the year, and the Fed will take a wait-and-see approach to see how this all plays out.
See what happens, and we'll see how the president reacts to what happens.
Exactly.
All right. Brooke, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Well, staying in Washington, Senate Majority Leader John Thune says the Senate will attempt to advance an extension of a controversial surveillance law after it expired over the weekend.
Thune said the Senate will do so without attaching it to the Save America Act, a move that goes against the president's wishes.
NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Melanie Zanona joins us now with more on this. Mel, good morning. So Senator Thune has warned that the expiration of this, it's Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. It says he says it poses this threat to national security. Remind us what this provision does and how it was allowed to expire in the first place.
Yeah, good morning, guys. So this section of FISA is used to collect intelligence overseas. It's used to spy on foreigners. As lawmakers have noted, it's been used to thwart terror attacks, including a terrorist plot once on a Taylor Swift concert. So for the U.S. government, it has really been a critical spying tool that they have used in the past. And there was a bipartisan agreement to reauthorize this law. They were on the verge of passing it. At that point, though, President Trump announced his pick to temporarily lead the director of national intelligence. That would be Bill Pulte, his housing director. And Democrats had a lot of concerns about Bill Pulte because he has no experience with intelligence or no experience in the national security space. So they decided to withhold their votes for this critical FISA reauthorization while Pulte is still in the job. Now, since then, I will say Trump has announced his permanent pick for that job. That would be Jay Clayton, someone who Democrats actually do have respect for and have had a lot of praise for. But until Jay Clayton is permanently confirmed, they are not going to vote for a FISA reauthorization.
So while we're talking about Jay Clayton, he could get confirmed as early as Thursday. Do we expect any sort of pushback here?
He has support from both sides of the aisle, like I mentioned. In committee, we are expecting him to really sail through, unless, of course, there's some unforeseen issue or controversy that pops up in the next few days. The real question, though, guys, is can he get confirmed on the Senate floor as quickly as the end of this week, which is what the GOP leadership is trying to do. That is a much stickier situation. Even though he has bipartisan support, it would take cooperation from all 100 senators in order to advance that nomination. But that, of course, is something we are watching very closely later this week.
Hey, Mel, one other thing we want to ask you about from the Hill is Senator Mitch McConnell's health. Majority Leader Thune, who we've been talking about, says he's hopeful that he will return to work this week after being hospitalized over the weekend. Do we know anything more about his condition now?
So we don't know exactly what the condition is that put him in the hospital. We don't actually even know if he has been discharged yet. But we did get an update yesterday suggesting that Mitch McConnell is on the mend, with his spokesman saying in a statement, Senator McConnell is fully engaged with staff on Senate business and Kentucky matters, and he is very appreciative of the outstanding care he is receiving. Of course, this is not the first health scare that Mitch McConnell has suffered in recent years. He's also been pushed around in a wheelchair in the Capitol lately. So anytime someone of that age or of that condition gets put into the hospital, it is, of course, very concerning. But everyone on Capitol Hill wishing him a speedy recovery, guys.
All right, Mel, thank you so much.
The investigation continues this morning into the fatal crash of an Air Force bomber in Southern California. 8 people were killed yesterday when the B-52 crashed moments after takeoff from Edwards Air Force Base. Comes just days after a fighter jet crashed into a hillside in Washington state. That pilot safely ejected moments before the crash. NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz has more.
A tragedy in California after a massive military bomber crashed during a routine test mission in the Mojave Desert outside Los Angeles.
We lost 8 great Americans. This crash is deemed to be unsurvivable.
Thick black smoke seen billowing into the air for miles after military officials say the B-52 Stratofortress went down shortly after takeoff from Edwards Air Force Base around 11:20. The base says emergency crews immediately responded to the scene.
Edwards has something going on.
You can see here the charred landscape where the crash happened.
It was a B-52 that was on initial takeoff, supporting the radar modernization program. This was a mixed crew of military, government civilians, and government contractors.
The 8-engine B-52 is typically crewed by 5 people. It's a legendary part of the military's fleet, used for decades from Vietnam to the current war in the Middle East. The enormous aircraft can fly as high as 50,000 feet while carrying 70,000 pounds of weapons. The crash comes after another military plane crash in Washington state.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
The incident caught on camera, a Marine Corps F-18 Hornet slamming into a hillside on the south side of Mount Rainier, then erupting into a fireball.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
The pilot, seen on another video, ejecting just before the crash. Authorities say, incredibly, he only sustained minor injuries and was recovered by a sheriff's deputy. Liz Kreutz, NBC News.
Now let's get to the dangerous weather hammering the South. Torrential downpours are triggering dangerous flash floods for millions. In Houston, the wicked weather even pulled the plug on the FIFA World Cup Fan Fest. NBC News correspondent Priscilla Thompson has the latest.
Severe storms slamming the South. Watch as a person jumps from a tree as first responders rescue those trapped by fast-moving floodwaters.
That's the roof of a car.
A busy Texas interstate near Waco washed out, leaving an 18-wheeler stuck. Rescuers in boats and on foot trudging through chest-high water, racing to reach trapped vehicles.
There's a car just floating down the median.
18 million Americans are under flood watches in Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. Some spots slammed with up to 5 inches of rain per hour. Part of a stretch of severe weather sweeping across the country. Hail pummeling parts of Pennsylvania.
What is that?
Whipping winds sending this tornado-like swirl across an Ohio turnpike. And in Kansas City,
Sirens are going off.
A tornado threat forcing England's World Cup team to stay inside on Saturday. And Houston's FIFA Fan Fest shut down. Priscilla Thompson, NBC News, Houston, Texas.
That flood risk across the Southeast is not letting up yet.
We've got meteorologist Bill Cairns tracking the threat for us today. Always good to have you. Good morning, Bill.
Well, good morning. We're watching our first tropical threat of the season, and this could bring some very heavy rain along the Gulf Coast, mostly from areas from Houston into Louisiana, possibly even Mississippi and Alabama in the days ahead. And if this does become our first named storm, our A storm, this would be Arthur. And we're not worried about, the winds. We don't think this will become a big, huge hurricane or anything like that. But the potential is there, at least, for some very heavy, life-threatening rainfall in areas along the Gulf Coast. So the development zone and the Hurricane Center is saying a 60% chance of this developing will be anywhere from tonight through tomorrow. Then it will be into Louisiana. So as far as the flood watches go, 16 million people. Now, not everyone is going to get this huge amounts of rain, but isolated locations at least have a chance for over a foot of water in the next day or two. Already this morning, some very heavy rain just along the coast from Brownsville northwards to Corpus Christi. We have areas already seeing flash flood warnings, and this will only spread as we go throughout the day. So here's the timing of this. Notice the storm spinning just near Corpus Christi through this evening. Then as we head towards tomorrow, it'll begin to slide towards coastal Louisiana. That's when the heaviest rainfall is, and that should be our biggest water threat. So from Lake Charles heading over towards Baton Rouge, maybe even eventually towards New Orleans as we go throughout Wednesday evening. Then Wednesday night into Thursday, we slide this into areas of Mississippi and Alabama. Could even be near over the top of Atlanta by the time we get to Thursday. So anywhere where the storm travels will have that risk of some very heavy rainfall and the chance of some flooding. Rainfall totals could be anywhere between 8 to 12 inches in Louisiana, Mississippi, and also central portions here of Alabama. There should be a little less totals in areas of North Florida, and also it doesn't look like Dallas-Fort Worth is going to get much of this. So we'll keep track of this over the next 24 to 48 hours. If you live along the Gulf Coast, pay close attention to this possible forming new storm.
All right, Bill, thank you. We've got much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, a digital dilemma. More than half of parents say they still track their adult kids' locations. Why experts say this could hurt more than it helps.
Up first, Kansas City counting down to kickoff. Argentina and Algeria set to go head-to-head in the World Cup's smallest host city. We're going to take you to Missouri for all the excitement ahead of today's big match. Stay with us.
We're back with some sad news in the world of reality television. James Barker, an executive producer on Love Island, died after suffering an unexpected medical emergency while filming the show in Fiji last week. That's according to a statement shared with NBC News from ITV America and Peacock. He was 40 years old. The statement said Barker will be honored in today's episode of the show. Barker began working with the show in 2024 and held the role of executive producer for the last 3 seasons. Barker's partner, Adam Roth, said in a statement that he was, quote, the absolute light and love of my life, adding he brought joy and brilliance to everything he touched.
The smallest city that's hosting a World Cup match is getting ready to step into the international spotlight. Kansas City is expected to welcome about 650,000 fans over the course of 6 matches this summer. There's perhaps no city with as much on the line in this tournament, so businesses and officials there are embracing all things soccer to meet the moment. The party kicks off later today when thousands of roaring fans will pack iconic Arrowhead Stadium for the matchup between the defending champs Argentina and Algeria. NBC News correspondent Shaquille Brewster is in KC with more. Hey, Shaq, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. You talk to anyone here, you'll hear the excitement about the World Cup. You even see it in some of the businesses. Look at one of the T-shirts that have been made for the celebrations here in Kansas City. And you go around the area, there has already been a big watch party for Team USA. Last night, I saw a big pep rally for Team Argentina. And now we're just hours away from the first of 6 matches to be hosted right here in the Midwest.
Fans flocking to see some of soccer's biggest stars compete in the World Cup's smallest host city, a massive project for Kansas City, Missouri. Flipping the Chiefs' Arrowhead Stadium into a FIFA-approved soccer pitch with upgraded lighting and dramatic changes to the field itself.
This wall did not exist before 2025.
Matt Kenny with the Chiefs says they temporarily removed 3,500 seats to make room for the larger soccer pitch.
The old slab would have been somewhere closer to here. Wow. That got excavated. The rows were removed from here in terms of where the seating is.
All to accommodate a major part of the game.
Our length was fine, but in order for a corner kick to occur to the FIFA standard is where the real focus had to be to get the win.
And laying down fresh Bermuda grass, where Lionel Messi and Riyad Mahrez will face off tonight.
Yeah, we put this in late April.
A monumental planning feat set into motion more than 10 years ago when the small Midwestern city decided to make the pitch.
We knew we were the underdog.
Kathy Nelson helped lead the bidding process.
I think people will be surprised by how robust our city is, how much there is to do here. There's barbecue, there's jazz, there's unbelievable museums. There's just so much beauty in our city.
Beauty and excitement that you see and feel around KC.
The World Cup is a great excuse to get new customers, and hopefully we'll do a good job and keep them.
Owner of the Kansas City staple Joe's Barbecue says they've been ramping up for months.
Oh, that's delicious.
Staying open all week long for the first time ever, expecting so much business, they even raced to open a second location.
So like I said,
okay. Right next door.
Compared to a busy Chiefs day, we're going to be up about 30% over that.
That's a big number.
Yeah, it's a huge number.
Just to celebrate the hype.
The rush also felt at KC apparel store Charlie Hustle, which opened a new pop-up last month. How have sales been?
Crazy.
They launched a special collection for the 7 teams competing here.
It is just kind of our chance to become nationally known. We're a small local company, but just excited about the hype around this and want to really celebrate what's coming to Kansas City.
This small city taking advantage of the giant opportunity and even more confident that it's ready for the major challenge.
I think more than anything, I think this is something that will plant not just my city, but the Midwest on the map as a true global destination.
Now, there have been a few tough headlines and some hiccups already to this point. We know last week, for example, there was a mass shooting that happened about 5 miles away from where Team England is staying. It was unrelated to any of the events taking place, but that caused some negative headlines overseas. And then we know that this past weekend, some of that severe weather led to the Fan Fest being canceled for a day. It led to some of the teams having to hunker down and shelter in place because of the threat of tornadoes. But the message that you continue to hear from folks here in Kansas City is just wait until the games begin. Just wait until you have that high-level competition inside that stadium. That is when the true excitement will happen. And, Joe, we are just hours away from it. There is so much excitement for what we'll see starting tonight.
No doubt. Shaq, did you save any barbecue for the 650,000 who will be coming to Kansas City?
You were watching a little too closely, but yes, I did. I did save plenty. They have lots of shipments coming in ready for the matches, so I shared a little bit and I saved some for the other.
Shaq, as soon as you get to your phone after this, you're going to see I texted you and said we are all cracking up at, wow, that's delicious.
It was really good.
Ooh, I bet it was. We love you, Shaq. Have fun.
Shaq. All right, coming up, blocked, the UK announcing plans to ban kids under 16 from using social media.
When we come back, we'll talk to an expert about the controversial move and its potential impact on young minds. Your weekly check-in is next on Morning News Now. Welcome back. Time for your weekly check-in. It's a moment to check in on any mental health news. Today, we are looking at the conversation around banning social media for children under 16 after the United Kingdom became the latest country to do so.
Plus, you might cringe at dad jokes, but they may actually be beneficial for your mental health.
And Dr. George James, our friend and licensed therapist, author of I Give Myself Permission, joins us now to make sense of all this. Dr. James, good morning. Great to have you as always. Let's start on the UK's plans to ban social media for children under 16. They're not the only ones. This follows countries like Australia, Canada, Indonesia doing similar things. I know a lot of parents like this news, but tell us what experts have to say about this. And kind of there's also this argument on the other side, like, you know, what about the positive aspects of connecting on these platforms, though I'm not sure that outweighs the potential negatives. What do you think?
Yeah, good morning, Savannah. With these bans, what we're noticing is that, yes, we've talked a lot about social media and the impact on our young folks and how it does need to be a little bit more regulated or maybe more involved. And so these bans are trying. But the other part of this is that it might push our young folks to do things in unsafe spaces, or maybe they might lose these connections. So we might want to find ways to help them connect with others, to stay in community, but be safe, and maybe have some conversations with parents and their young folks so that they can regulate how they use social media or other resources so that it can be helpful for them.
Well, while we're talking about phones, one good thing for a lot of parents is they can track their teens on their phones. But now there's a new survey by the University of Michigan finds half of parents track the location of their young adult children. Most parents who were questioned says it helps them feel reassured about their safety. A quarter of them said, though, it made them more anxious. So how should parents approach this dilemma? And just how old is too old to wonder where your kids are?
Yeah, you know, Joe, when they say young adult, they might really stretch that. I mean, it's 18 to 25, but I probably know some parents that are tracking their 30-year-old children. And some of this is, yes, parents want to know where their children are. Sometimes it's because of emergencies. Sometimes to make them feel safe. But even for parents, tracking their young folks can actually make them feel anxious or overwhelmed. You want to find out if you are someone who's anxious, maybe you don't track your young person. But if it's something that you feel connected, hopefully you also ask them and you let them know and you have that conversation. And if you need to, you know where they are, you can be reassured, and you can call them if you need to.
My dad's always said that, like, once my sister and I, because he's very involved, but once we grew up and got out of the house, he didn't really have anxiety about us because, you know, we were doing our thing until we would, like, come home and visit. Then it's like, what time are you coming under our roof? And this feels like it doesn't allow that detachment, you know, like you keep wondering where they are and having the ability to check. So that doesn't necessarily seem like
when I was young, I had a pager. And my mother would page me if she wanted to get a hold of me and then have to find a payphone to do that.
Yeah.
So that created distance. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Sorry, no payphones.
Yeah, sorry.
All right, Dr. Finally, let's talk about sometimes funny, always a little cringy dad jokes, but studies are suggesting that they could play an important role in our mental well-being. What are we talking about here? And by the way, if you've got any for us, go for it.
Well, you know, dad jokes are just a way that dads are trying to provide some humor. And what we realize, it does help with our mental health and our wellness and our connection. It also teaches our young folks how to involve their humor, but also the connection between dads and their children. For me, I don't have any dad jokes, but I am like a silly prankster. I have an ongoing tag game going with my teenage son for like the past 5 years, or I'm doing something silly in the house. I'm always laughing and doing something. And I love it. I enjoy it. They enjoy it. At least that's what I think. And it brings us closer. And I think it models that you can be silly and an adult and be okay.
All right. Love that. Don't really believe that you don't have any, but I guess we'll let it slide. Dr. George James, thanks as always.
The global preschool TV series CoComelon is about to get a big upgrade. Last week, the company that makes the kid favorite hit announced it will start using childhood development research across its portfolio. Comes after the series got some pushback from some parents who argue it's addictive and overstimulating for their kids. NBC News national correspondent Yasmin Vasugian has more.
The sound that captivates millions of children, from tablets to TV screens. CoComelon is one of the most watched children's shows, generating billions of views since it hit the scene in 2006. But some give it a bad rap for its bright colors and fast pacing, even acquiring the unbecoming nickname Crack for Kids. Many parents swear it off altogether.
So I banned CoComelon in my house. It is hyper-stimulating. It causes addiction.
The studio that acquired the preschool phenomenon about 6 years ago, Moonbug Entertainment, is now making a big change, partnering with UCLA's Center for Scholars and Storytellers to bring childhood developmental research directly into its content. After so many years, my question is, why now?
Since day one, we've always implemented child development consultant process. And we wanted to be just a little bit more intentional and transparent about how we underpin those experiences with, just a deeper and greater child development insights.
The move comes as kids spend more time watching online content and parents question what quality screen time should look like. Responding to my question about all the criticism, the company says its songs and shows are just one tool to help caregivers.
We definitely want kids to, families to find that balance, time away from a screen, obviously, either outside and playing, interacting with other kids.
The center that Moonbug commissioned analyzed hours of programming and reviewed decades of data.
The content was neither as bad as much of the press and parents believe, nor perfect. There was still work to do.
That work, 4 new key learning principles the company says will be fundamental in its storytelling moving forward.
Who does your dental work?
Decades ago, shows that kids watched on TV didn't always have a lesson plan. Early cartoons from Popeye to Looney Tunes filled with chaos and violence.
Hey, neighbor.
Then a different approach emerged. Shows like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood and Sesame Street brought experts into the creative process. That model helped shape generations, but kids are growing up in a different media landscape. In a 2025 Pew Research survey, 85% of parents say their children watch videos on YouTube, about half of them on a daily basis. Unlike traditional television, the barrier to entry is low. Anyone can create. Bots on the platform work to remove content not suitable for kids. But even the company admits, quote, no automated system is perfect. Now artificial intelligence makes it even harder to know what to watch.
We could choose to optimize for child development, or we could choose to optimize for views.
An issue creators like Dave Peth are working to solve.
AI as an image generating or a video generating tool has made it even easier to create content that looks professional, but it's sort of skin deep.
Moonbug believes its new principles can serve as a roadmap for what age-appropriate content should look like.
We're really encouraging curiosity at a very young age.
The whole point of our collaboration is to minimize negative impact and maximize positive impact.
As the screens change, the goal isn't just finding something to watch, it's finding something worth watching. Yasmin Vasugian, NBC News.
Important conversation right there for parents. All right, coming up on Morning News Now, growing concern about the state of LGBTQ plus rights in America.
Up next, the new report highlighting challenges for the community in recent years and the efforts to fight back on the ballot. Next. We are back with a concerning report that reveals the quality of life for LGBTQ plus Americans is getting worse over the past few years. This comes from the Human Rights Campaign Foundation. It says the queer community is now facing more stigma at work, struggling to get equal access to health care, and experiencing a drop in financial security. Nearly half of all LGBTQ adults report being less out in some area of their lives. The Human Rights Campaign, a civil rights group for LGBTQ plus community, is trying to reverse the tide. The organization has now invested $15 million to support candidates leading to the midterm elections, hoping to flip Congress. For more on this, I'm joined now by the president of the Human Rights Campaign, Kelly Robinson. She's the first queer black woman to ever run the organization. Kelly, it is good to have you with us. I know this investment, it's the largest for HRC in a non-presidential campaign year. Without getting too much into maybe the politicians, but the issues, what are the main issues that you're focusing on right now? Because it's not just all issues that directly impact the LGBTQ community, correct?
Yeah, well, first of all, can I say happy Pride?
Happy Pride.
Yeah, look, I know that things are hard and challenging for the community, especially right now. I mean, people are experiencing the worst level of attacks that we've seen in a generation. And yet, when you look across this country right now, in small towns and large towns, from the middle of the country to the coast, you see millions of people showing up for Pride, showing up to make sure that our community knows that we're not alone. So when I think about the world right now, it is true, especially 1 year into this Donald Trump administration and these MAGA extremists have poured hundreds of millions of dollars into attacking our community, that the LGBTQ plus community is worse off in nearly every way, financially, from a healthcare perspective, even being less out. But it's also true that at a moment when our rights are under attack, more people are running to the fight than away. The Human Rights Campaign has gained over 1 million members just in the last year alone. That, to me, shows that people are seeing the cruelty that's playing out in state houses and the federal government right now and responding with compassion, love, and action.
I want to take a look at a statistic that certainly gets a lot of headlines. It's support for same-sex marriage dropping in the U.S. a little bit overall, but especially among Republicans. A recent Gallup poll revealed only 37% of Republicans favor same-sex marriage. That's down from 55% just 4 years ago. What do you think is going on here? What's your message, especially to the younger generation, about this?
Visibility matters, right? Look, First, I want people to pay attention to this, but not to panic. You still see more than 2/3 of Americans supporting marriage equality. The Respect for Marriage Act is still the law of the land, guaranteeing federal protections for same-sex couples. So that is important. But we also know that this is a time where we can't rest on our laurels. Look, we've seen so many of our civil rights overturned in the last couple of years alone. Abortion rights overturned, the gutting of the Civil Rights Act, them even questioning birthright citizenship. So we have to be clear that any right we've gained, including marriage equality, we can't rest if we want to protect it. We got to make sure that we're showing up into the fight and showing up for equality.
We know there's always 2 steps forward, maybe 1 step back, then forward again. I think one interesting statistic is that Gen Z, a third of Gen Z identifies as queer. That is dramatic when we used to think like, oh, maybe it's no more than 10%. What does that say, and what does that possibly mean, do you think, for the future?
To me, it says that our opposition is fighting a future that has already arrived. Not only is it 30% of Gen Z, we have $1.4 trillion of buying power. We are consumers. We are employees. We are teachers and students. We are a part of our communities. And I think that anyone that knows us knows that. Look, whenever our opposition comes at us with these attacks, I just think of my family. My wife and I's love is just as valid and as committed as anyone else. We got 2 kids that we're raising in the suburbs. That's what we're fighting for, to just have the same civil rights and protections as everyone else. And I think right now, especially when our rights are under attack, visibility matters even more. We have to make sure that all of that hate that's coming our way is countered by love and us showing truly that we're integral parts of the community.
July 4th is around the corner, and as everyone knows, it's the 250th anniversary of America, and you've been promoting linking pride with patriotism. Talk about that.
Yes, look, lesbian, gay, bi, trans, and queer folks have always been a part of the American story. And let me be honest with you, I don't know who wants to live in America without gay people. Come on now. Tracy Chapman brought you Fast Car, right? Bayard Rustin brought you the March on Washington. We are a part of culture, a part of music, a part of every part of the American story. So now is a time for us to declare that. And I think that there's a really exciting opportunity for us, especially as the LGBTQ plus community, to tell more of our stories. Particularly to me, the story of trans service people and LGBTQ plus folks who have served and fought for this country. I think the more that we can lift up those stories of us being a part of the American story is so important, especially as we approach this big anniversary.
Happy Pride. Kelly Robinson, we thank you so much for joining us.
Happy Pride.
All right.
All right. Coming up on Morning News Now, an incredible feat for a group of 5th graders.
I always tell my kids it's not about becoming a runner. It's learning to take on something hard and knowing that you can do it, that you can finish it.
Up next, we'll introduce you to the teacher who challenged her kids to run a 50K. You heard that right, 50K. Don't run off. That story's next. We're going to end this hour with a story about a retiring teacher in Minnesota whose final lesson went beyond the classroom. She challenged her 5th grade students to train for and complete a 50K run with her. Reporter Boyd Hubert from our NBC station in Minneapolis has more on this story of miles and smiles.
With the school year racing
Good morning.
toward a close,
Come on in. Keep on going.
Becky Brudwick and her 5th grade
Morning, Joshua.
class
Morning, Cam.
are in
Good morning, August.
their
Good morning.
final lap.
Good morning, Hoover Elementary.
Last lunches,
Cheesy omelet.
last pledges,
Invisible.
last sharing
What are you doing this weekend?
in big circles.
I have a few hockey practices.
Then, at last,
Thank you.
a parting gift
Thank you.
of little circles.
Just believe.
Believing has carried them
Oh, they're coming.
here.
Ready? Begin. Very big day. Final mile.
Final mile of a 50K race in a circle around their playground.
Keep it up, boys. You got this.
Achieved 1 mile at a time for 31 straight school days.
This is the 15th. Yes. I got this.
15 years of this race grown from seeds that sprouted decades ago.
I always wanted to be a cheerleader, and I tried out for cheerleading, and I never made the cheerleading squad. And I was crying outside the chemistry teacher's room, and he came out and he said, "Why don't you go out for the track team?" I was like, there's no way I'm going to run a mile.
Becky Brudwick did more than run a mile as a member of the Blooming Prairie track team.
Did my first marathon at 23.
Her first, followed by 41 more marathons and ultra marathons. Then, having learned to believe in herself, Mrs. Brudwick began sharing that lesson with her students.
I always tell my kids it's not about becoming a runner. It's learning to take on something hard and knowing that you can do it, that you can finish it.
Case in point.
Nice job, girls.
Look who finally became a cheerleader.
Keep going, you got this.
In fact, the leader of a whole squad.
It's really fun just to know that they're supporting us this whole time.
Vivi Owens and the other fifth graders are also aware of something else.
This is the last one.
This isn't just their final lap.
Yeah, you did it.
I'm just very, very grateful we got to experience the last year with her.
At the conclusion of this year's race, Mrs. Brudwick will cross the finish line to retirement.
I would say the impact that she's had on our kids' lives has been immeasurable.
Students, parents,
Oh my gosh, how are you?
and former students,
Oh, I'm so proud of you.
all changed
I run cross country and track now.
by Mrs. Brudwick
She cared about, everybody.
for the better.
Yeah, she was is my favorite teacher that I've ever had.
And she changed by then.
Give me a second.
Okay, let's check back in with Vivi.
I don't think we have a big enough Band-Aid.
Now bloodied, but believing.
I realize I can do it, and I don't care about this.
I'm so proud of the kids. I'm so happy that I got to be a part of that, be a part of their journey.
15 Hoover Elementary 50Ks.
You got this.
And we believe Mrs. Brudwick saved her best lap for last.
That is intense and awesome. Thank you, Boyd Hooper, for that story, and congratulations to Mrs. Brudwick and her students on finishing that final lap. Well, that is going to do it for this hour of Morning News. Now we've got a lot going on this morning, though. Stay with us. The news continues right now. Good Tuesday morning. Thanks so much for being here. I'm Savannah Sellers. Joe will be back with us a little later in the hour. Right now on Morning News Now, the fine print. President Trump on a political victory lap abroad, meeting with world leaders at the G7 summit in France, while touting that framework deal to end America's ongoing war in Iran. The details of the pact remain hazy. Vice President J.D. Vance speaking with our own Tom Yamas overnight, clearing the air on when we might hear more.
Will nuclear inspectors be allowed back in?
Yes, absolutely. That's in fact one of the core parts of the agreement.
Is there a date? Has a date been set on when inspectors will be allowed into Iran?
Well, that's one of the things we're going to talk about on Friday when everybody gets together, signs this agreement, and kicks off the technical negotiations.
We are watching it all for you, including how progress in the Middle East might impact price tags here in the U.S. Too close to home, California governor and prolific critic of President Trump, Gavin Newsom, now accusing the commander-in-chief of using the Justice Department against him and his wife. What sources close to a brand new investigation tell us it's all about, and the governor's fiery video response alleging his White House aspirations are the reason for the probe. Tragedy after takeoff, the desperate race for answers after a B-52 bomber crashed near an Air Force base in California. Mere moments into flight, killing all 8 on board. Where the investigation stands this morning into what U.S. military officials had called a routine test mission. Plus, it's that time of the year again. The U.S. News and World Report is out with its annual list of the best universities on Earth, of course. But while familiar American schools still round out the top 10, which country made the grade the most? The answer might have you paying attention. We're going to have that a little later this morning, but we begin this hour at the G7 summit in France as President Trump meets with world leaders with an agreement to end the war with Iran front and center. Earlier this morning, the president met with the other leaders of the G7, along with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Mr. Trump also met with the Emir of Qatar. This comes as we're still waiting for the details of that peace agreement between the U.S. and Iran to be made public. NBC News Chief White House correspondent Garrett Haake is traveling with the president and has the latest from nearby Geneva. Garrett, good morning.
President Trump arrived here at this summit looking to sell his peace plan with Iran, said to be a page-and-a-half-long document not yet publicly released that he hopes will bring that conflict to a permanent close. But here in Europe, a conflict closer to home is also in the spotlight. President Trump on the world stage, joining a summit on the shores of Lake Geneva and touting his new deal to end the U.S. war with Iran.
We have our deal done with Iran, and it should be successful.
Alongside key Gulf allies today, the president presenting his new agreement with Iran, yet to be released publicly, as a roadmap to peace in the Middle East.
The biggest thing is they will not have a nuclear weapon, and that's the reason I got in, and that's the reason I agreed to sign.
Senior U.S. officials say this memorandum of understanding with Iran opens the Strait of Hormuz immediately and ends the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports, while also opening a 60-day window to negotiate further on Iran's nuclear program, including what happens to its highly enriched uranium buried after last summer's strikes. Vice President Vance speaking with NBC's Tom Yamas.
But the basic principle is Iran behaves like a normal country. They get treated like a normal country with great benefits and prosperity accruing to the whole region.
Those benefits could include relief from U.S. sanctions and access to a $300 billion reconstruction fund created by Iran's Arab neighbors.
Not a single dime of that money comes from the United States. And in order for Iran to get that benefit, they have to show the Gulf Arab states that they're behaving like a normal country.
While back here in Europe, the president facing pressure from allies to re-engage with the conflict on their doorstep and help end Russia's war with Ukraine, which, as of last week, has now gone on longer than the First World War. The president meeting privately with Ukraine's President Zelensky before today's official program began.
We had a very good meeting. Look, Russia should make a deal. Russia's lost tremendous amounts of people, and so has Ukraine.
The president says he'll meet again with Zelensky at some point today to discuss that conflict further. As for Iran and the peace deal, the text of that memorandum of understanding is supposed to be released on Friday after a signing ceremony here in Switzerland, attended by Vice President Vance. After that, the more complicated talks about many of the issues that started the conflict in the first place can begin.
All right, Garrett, thank you so much. Well, now we have breaking news from the FBI. The agency tells NBC News that it disrupted an alleged drone attack plot on that White House UFC event that took place over the weekend. More than 4,000 people were in attendance at this first of its kind event held on the president's 80th birthday. That includes, of course, the president. Vice President J.D. Vance was also there and several cabinet members. A senior law enforcement official tells NBC News the plot was, quote, quite serious. NBC News senior justice reporter Ryan Riley joins us now with the latest. Ryan, good morning. First, just tell us what we know so far about this plot.
Yeah, we don't know a ton, and I think most interestingly is sort of how it came out. This was announced by Kash Patel on Twitter, who seems to have maybe potentially gotten ahead of other agencies here, because the Secret Service put out a statement stating that it is, saying that they work closely with the FBI throughout the investigation, but said it was equally important to our protective mission is ensuring accountability through the justice system. To that end, our formal comments regarding the specifics of this case will be made through court filing. So we really don't know any names. We don't know any of the details like that. And it seems as though this case is still unfolding within the courts, because the Justice Department is sort of saying that they're on hold for now about any of the details of this plot. But Kash Patel has gotten out there and announced some of them, and including cooperating and pushing this out for a Fox News story. And so a lot of those details, I think, are going to trickle out throughout the day, and we'll learn a little bit more about what exactly was going on with this plot.
Right. And as we mentioned, President Trump, Vice President Vance, several cabinet members, they were all there. I think for some people, a security incident where pretty much that exact group was also present comes to mind, which was the White House Correspondents' Dinner and the security issues that we saw take place there. For something like this, especially in light of recent events, what security measures are in place when there's this high-profile event with high-profile officials in this crowded, open-air environment?
Yeah, I mean, it does help that it was the White House, right? So there's all of these protective measures set up to begin with that, the White House is normally the secure facility. Of course, when you have all these people and this equipment coming in, that's really important for all of that to get screened. That's why, a lot of this weight was on the Secret Service. A lot of this, taxpayer money was going towards protecting this event, this private event, which is why it was sort of so controversial. And even though the event itself was funded from the outside, it still involves a lot of these outside, the taxpayer money going to protecting the White House itself and this event itself. We still don't really know the details from this FBI plot. The FBI often infiltrates a lot of these sort of groups, so it involves a confidential human source. It involves a cooperating source. Sometimes it involves FBI undercover employees, but we don't quite know those details yet because none of the court documents are out, and we're still waiting on some of those details to trickle out throughout the day.
All right, Ryan Miley, big news here. Stay on this for us. Thanks so much. Well, California Governor Gavin Newsom says he's being investigated by the Justice Department, and he's accusing the president of doing so for political reasons. Newsom, who frequently clashes with the president, says the DOJ is trying to find evidence of a crime that he says does not exist. NBC News Chief Justice and National Affairs correspondent Kelly O'Donnell has the details here. Kelly, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. After 2 terms as California governor, Gavin Newsom is one of the most prominent Democrats in the country. He has stood out for using the president's own playbook, often trolling Mr. Trump on social media. Newsom now saying politics is driving investigations into his own inner circle.
2 of the biggest personalities in politics in a new legal drama. The president,
Gavin Newsom, is not good.
And California's governor.
Trump is a jack. He is.
In a new video message, Gavin Newsom getting personal about a federal investigation that hits close to home.
If they can't intimidate me, they'll go after the mother of our children.
Sources familiar with the investigation say federal authorities are looking at the governor's wife, Jennifer, related to tax issues and her work with nonprofit organizations, not the governor himself. Aides to Newsom say IRS and FBI agents have obtained financial records and knocked on doors of family and associates of the governor. Those aides say the governor and his wife have not been subpoenaed.
Donald Trump isn't just coming after me because of my mean tweets. He's coming after me because I'm considering running for president.
Newsom places himself among other high-profile figures and perceived adversaries of the president, investigated by the Justice Department, including former FBI Director James Comey, New York Attorney General Letitia James, and Democratic Senator Adam Schiff.
I think people are growing numb to this extraordinary abuse of the Justice Department.
Sources familiar with the investigation say it began more than a year ago, based on whistleblowers and state government sources, not from the DOJ headquarters. The White House referred questions to the Justice Department, which declined to comment. Todd Blanche, who will soon face Senate confirmation to be the permanent Attorney General, avoiding questions on Newsom.
I'm not here to make this is not a.
Jennifer Seibel Newsom describes herself as first partner, not first lady of California. She's a documentary filmmaker who has founded nonprofits from which she earns a salary, and those focus on issues supporting women and children. The governor says he and his wife have done nothing wrong. Savannah?
All right, Kelly, thank you so much. We have new details this morning about a fatal crash of an Air Force bomber in Southern California. It happened yesterday when a B-52 crashed soon after takeoff from Edwards Air Force Base and erupted into flames. All 8 people on board were killed. NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz has the latest. Liz, good morning.
Well, hey there. This tragic accident happened about 100 miles northeast of here in the Mojave Desert. Officials describe the crash as unsurvivable, and they say how exactly it happened remains under investigation. The flight was part of a routine test mission, something they say happens every day on the base.
Edwards has something going on.
This morning, an investigation underway after a massive military bomber crashed in the Mojave Desert outside Los Angeles, killing everyone on board.
We lost 8 great Americans. This crash is deemed to be unsurvivable.
Military officials say the Boeing B-52 Stratofortress crashed shortly after takeoff from Edwards Air Force Base Monday morning, bursting into flames.
That looks like an airplane.
And sending a huge plume of smoke into the air that could be seen for miles. These aerial images show the charred runway where the crash happened. Officials say the aircraft was taking part in a routine test mission.
It was a B-52 that was on initial takeoff, supporting the radar modernization program. Our test missions take place every day, multiple times a day.
Authorities say the crew on board included military personnel and government contractors. Boeing telling NBC News in a statement 2 of their employees are among the deceased, adding, "We are in contact with their families and are offering support." Officials say the cause of the crash remains unclear.
They are some of the best pilots that the Air Force, the U.S. government, and our U.S. contractors have. So the fault most likely lies with the aircraft, but beyond that, we don't really know what could have happened.
B-52s, the oldest bomber in the U.S. military's fleet, are on average more than 60 years old, although they've been heavily updated. The 8-engine, high-altitude planes are capable of carrying nuclear weapons and are also used to surveil large areas of ocean surfaces. This morning, the runway at the Air Force Base remains closed as investigators comb through the debris, hoping to find answers.
And the Air Force tells us investigators are likely going to be looking to recover the black box that has the flight data recorder. As for the 8 people on board, the Air Force says they have begun notifying the next of kin, and they're going to release more information about those passengers once all the families have been contacted. Back to you.
All right, just such a tragedy. Liz, thank you so much. Well, let's turn now to the severe weather that's wreaking havoc across the South. Torrential rain has triggered dangerous flooding, and there is more heavy rain expected in the days ahead. NBC News correspondent Ryan Chandler joins us from Houston with the latest on this. Ryan, good morning.
Well, Savannah, good morning. Houstonians are all too familiar with the devastating potential of flooding, and these downpours come as thousands of people from all across the world packed this city for the World Cup. Yesterday evening, Texas Governor Greg Abbott declaring a disaster for 101 counties in the state, as these storms are only expected to worsen. This morning, intense rainstorms and raging waters inundating Texas and the Gulf Coast. 16 million people waking up under flood watches from San Antonio to Waco. That's the roof of a car. And Shreveport, Louisiana. Water overwhelming roads, submerging cars and stranding passengers. This person trapped in relentless floodwaters, jumping from a tree to reach first responders.
All right, you got them. Now just be careful getting out.
In the Texas Hill Country, authorities searching for a driver and a vehicle swept away Monday morning.
We have located a few vehicle parts along the route, which is giving us hope that the vehicle is somewhere down the river.
In Houston, heavy rains shutting down the FIFA Fan Fest, with thousands of soccer fans visiting the city for the World Cup. Highway underpasses underwater in the heart of the city.
Oh, nothing, just the usual flooding in Houston.
The National Weather Service warning of potentially life-threatening flash flooding through the week in parts of Texas and Mississippi, with rainfall amounts of 3 to 4 inches per hour possible. Farther east, communities are grappling with extensive damage in the aftermath of this weekend's severe storms. From downed trees in Virginia to this toppled Ferris wheel in Ohio. Out west, millions are under heat alerts from California to Washington State.
I'm definitely trying to stay cool, definitely going to work, but trying to hydrate and stay out the heat.
The big question today, Savannah and Joe, could we see our first named tropical disturbance in the Gulf? That is a possibility. No matter what, this area is expected to get a lot of rain. That disturbance is what is fueling all of this rain, and it's only going to get worse as that system moves over these warm Gulf waters. Communities from Houston to New Orleans could see more than 8 inches of rain over the next 2 days, guys.
Wow, just such an important reminder for people to stay in tune with those weather alerts. Ryan, thank you so much. Let's now get a check on your morning news now weather with meteorologist Bill Cairns joining us with the latest today. Bill, good morning.
Well, good morning. We're watching our first tropical threat of the season, and this could bring some very heavy rain along the Gulf Coast, mostly from areas from Houston into Louisiana, possibly even Mississippi and Alabama in the days ahead. And if this does become our first named storm, our A storm, this would be Arthur. And we're not worried about, the winds. We don't think this will become a big, huge hurricane or anything like that. But the potential is there at least for some very heavy, life-threatening rainfall in areas along the Gulf Coast. So the development zone and the Hurricane Center is saying a 60% 50% chance of this developing, will be anywhere from tonight through tomorrow. Then it will be into Louisiana. So as far as the flood watches go, 16 million people. Now, not everyone is going to get this huge amounts of rain, but isolated locations at least have a chance for over a foot of water in the next day or two. Already this morning, some very heavy rain just along the coast from Brownsville northwards of Corpus Christi. We have areas already seeing flash flood warnings, and this will only spread as we go throughout the day. So here's the timing of this. Notice the storm spinning just near Corpus Christi through this evening. Then as we head towards tomorrow, it'll begin to slide towards coastal Louisiana. That's when the heaviest rainfall is, and that should be our biggest water threat. So from Lake Charles heading over towards Baton Rouge, maybe even eventually towards New Orleans as we go throughout Wednesday evening. Then Wednesday night into Thursday, we slide this into areas of Mississippi and Alabama. Could even be near over the top of Atlanta by the time we get to Thursday. So anywhere where the storm travels will have that risk of some very heavy rainfall and the chance of some flooding. Rainfall totals could be anywhere between 8 to 12 inches in Louisiana, Mississippi, and also central portions here of Alabama. There should be a little less totals in areas of North Florida, and also it doesn't look like Dallas-Fort Worth is going to get much of this. So we'll keep track of this over the next 24 to 48 hours. If you live along the Gulf Coast, pay close attention to this possible forming new storm.
All right, Bill, thank you so much. Good info for people there. Well, we've got much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now. Will prices at the pump start to come down with the news of a deal with Iran? We will take a look. First, though, after the break, sight unseen. Britain, just the latest nation to unveil a sweeping ban on social media for users under 16. But leaders there aren't stopping at apps like Instagram and TikTok. We will explain next. We're back with a major move overseas that could reignite the debate here at home about kids and social media. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced a plan to ban children under 16 from using popular apps like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, saying it is needed to better protect young people. For more on how this will work, let's bring in NBC News international correspondent Molly Hunter. Molly, big news here. Good morning.
Savannah, good morning. So this is a big deal. We don't have all the answers about how the logistics are going to be worked out, but it is also a very big win for a lot of parents and teachers who've been lobbying the government, who finally feel like they've been heard. Now, it follows countries including Australia, Canada, Brazil, and Indonesia that have already introduced legislation or similar age restrictions. But Savannah, the UK is taking it even further than just social media apps. Take a look.
This is a big step. Real change for our children and our future.
The UK Prime Minister making a major announcement, banning social media for children under 16, including Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and going even farther.
We're taking world-leading action on gaming services and live streaming platforms.
Modeled after Australia's ban last year, it's being referred to here as Australia Plus.
And that our children are going to get a new start, a new sort of childhood starts here.
What do you think the biggest impact or the biggest immediate impact is going to be?
The biggest thing will be shifting the social norm.
And while parents may be relieved, it will all come down to the enforcement by the government and big tech companies.
It's their job to enforce. It's not parents who need to be policemen in their own homes.
TikTok, Snapchat, and Meta all voiced cautious optimism, but argued bans aren't the way forward and will push kids into unregulated and less safe corners of the internet. A year after Australia's ban went into effect, many teens who already had accounts before the ban are finding ways to get around the restrictions. A new poll shows about 60% of 12 to 15-year-olds still have access to one or more social media account. And experts agree the ban will be toughest on current teens.
Looking at an entire generation that's been compromised, we need to do something.
Supporters say the bans mostly benefit the next cohort, the kids who will enter their teenage years with the ban already in place. And British teens not convinced.
Well, honestly, it's just wow. I'm not happy at all.
Father of three, Prince William, has previously talked about how, along with wife Kate, they're handling technology.
None of our children have any phones, which we're very strict about. As far as I can tell, they just end up jumping up and down on the trampoline, beating each other up most of the time.
Which is exactly what experts hope kids should be doing at this age.
Now, one of the things officials here are looking into, and that Meta actually supports, Savannah, is device-level enforcement. So at the operating systems level or the App Store level. So it's not actually up to individual apps to verify and restrict ages, but that happens when you're setting up a new phone. Savannah?
Molly, what's the timeline here about when this starts to be enforced?
Yeah, it's pretty unclear, and there were a lot of questions yesterday. So there are a lot of technical logistics that still need to be worked out before it goes into effect early next year. The government is expected to share more details next month. Ofcom, which is the regulator here, have until October to figure out how exactly they're going to effectively verify the age. They're certainly looking at Australia, seeing what they've learned, and they're also looking at how they can possibly prevent teens from using VPNs to circumvent the verification. So a lot of questions still remain. Savannah?
Certainly. Molly Hunter, thank you so much. We've got more international headlines now. 3 instructors have been charged after a bridge jumping excursion turned deadly in Brazil. NBC's Matt Bodner joins us to take us around the world in 60 seconds. Hey, Matt, good morning.
Savannah, good morning. 3 men have been arrested and charged with homicide. That's according to local officials for their role in the death of a 21-year-old woman who was thrown on a bridge jump without proper safety lines. Police say they were caught attempting to flee after the incident. The 3 men acknowledged that the victim was not connected to any safety ropes, but they also said they don't remember who was actually responsible for securing them. Moving along now to Indonesia, part of one of the central Sulawesi Islands was hit by a 6.7 magnitude earthquake today. This caused some heavy damage and frightened residents of the city of Palu. 8 years ago, this city was devastated by a quake and the ensuing tsunami. And we'll wrap up this hour with some Wimbledon news. Serena and Venus Williams have been readmitted to announced as the wildcard candidates in the tournament this year, following an announcement just now. This comes off the back of Serena Williams' debut, return to the sport just last week. So that will be exciting news. Back to you, Savannah.
All right, it certainly would be. Matt Bodner, thank you so much. Coming up, it's the sound of silence that's been heard across America for decades. No, we're not talking Simon and Garfunkel. This is your right to remain silent. 60 years ago this week, Miranda rights were solidified by the Supreme Court. Where does it come from, and how did a simple police procedural become so ingrained in pop culture? We're going to take a look next. Back now with a closer look at what's making news in the world of politics this morning, starting with J.D. Vance walking back some notorious comments he made in the past.
NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Melanie Zanona joins us with that and more. Mel, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, guys. We begin with a striking admission from Vice President J.D. Vance. In his upcoming memoir, Vance concedes it was, quote, boneheaded of him to call Kamala Harris and other Democrats childless cat ladies. Vance made those remarks when he was running for a Senate seat in Ohio back in 2021, but when they resurfaced 3 years later, he stood by the insult and refused to apologize. Now, though, Vance calling it one of the dumbest things I ever said. Next, the Supreme Court rejected a challenge to a New York firearms law. The law, which was immediately challenged after being enacted, sets out a legal pathway to hold gun makers accountable for harm caused by their weapons. The conservative-leaning court's decision, though, not to intervene means the 2021 law remains in effect, though it could still face future legal challenges. And finally, it's not easy being green. The Trump administration recently completed a $14 million renovation of the reflecting pool at the Lincoln Memorial, coating the bottom of the pool with a dark blue material. It was one of the many president's beautification projects ahead of America's 250th birthday, but days later, the pool is once again turning green because of algae blooms, a long-standing problem for the pool. A spokeswoman for the Interior Department said the project involved the successful installation of a water treatment system and insisted the algae would be gone soon. And that's what's making news in politics this morning. Joan, Savannah.
All right, Mel, thank you.
From America's 250th birthday to another anniversary now. This time it's a phrase we've all heard. You have the right to remain silent. That phrase relates to Miranda rights, legal protections that turned 60 years old this week. Started with an Arizona criminal case in a landmark decision from the Supreme Court. Reporter Sean Rice from our affiliate in Phoenix takes a look back.
It's one of the most recognizable phrases in America.
You have the right to remain silent.
Anything you do or say can be used
against you in a court of law.
You have the right to an attorney.
You cannot afford an attorney.
One will be appointed to me by the court.
Do you understand these rights as I've just read them to you?
Words repeated in police stations, on television, and in movies for generations. But what many people do not realize is that those famous rights trace back to a case that started right here in Phoenix.
The suspect's name was Ernesto Miranda. Ernesto Miranda was
arrested and investigated for a kidnapping/sexual assault that occurred within our city.
On March 3rd, 1963, Phoenix police obtained a written confession from Ernesto Miranda, but investigators never advised him of specific constitutional protections we now know as Miranda rights. Phoenix PD Sergeant Vincent Cole says this week is a significant one because the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in June 1966 that law enforcement officers must read these rights to each person they take into custody. 60 years later, they are words many may always think existed.
Prior to the Miranda decision being decided by the Supreme Court, this just wasn't a common thing in law enforcement. One could argue that they originated in this building that we're in right now, because this is where the questioning of Miranda would have occurred.
That building, now the Phoenix Police Museum, where a section of the room is dedicated solely to this case. The detective who investigated Miranda, Carol Cooley's investigative work helped solve the crime long before modern tools like body cameras, databases, and digital records. As those advances in police work have evolved, the Miranda rights have stood the test of time, playing a vital role in the criminal justice system as we know it.
The last thing we want to do is take somebody or charge somebody that is innocent. And also we want them to be fully knowledgeable of their constitutional rights, and that includes self-incrimination.
Our thanks to KPNX reporter Sean Rice for that story. NBC News legal analyst Danny Ceballos joins us now with more on this. So let's talk more about why this was such a watershed moment. I mean, before this decision, what was life like for defendants who were arrested?
It was hazy because all the courts had was a voluntariness test. And that was something that always had to be determined after the fact. And how do you determine voluntariness of a statement that is given when somebody's in custody? Well, now this is a relatively clean fix. You give the warnings up front before you interrogate, and then anything they say after that, presumably they were aware of their rights and they chose to speak.
So as we just saw in that piece there, all these like movie and TV show references, it's like this staple of pop culture to the point where a lot of people can recite this, even though, you know, it's not a situation they've ever been in. But what is it that media gets wrong?
Everyone can recite the Miranda warnings, but they are one of the most misunderstood legal concepts in America. I cannot tell you how often criminal defense attorneys like me have someone come to them and say, I was arrested, charged with a crime. No one ever read me my rights. That's my get out of jail free card, isn't it? Not so fast and not true. All Miranda does is apply when two things are present. Are you in custody and are you being interrogated? And you'd be surprised. Many arrests don't require that. If a suspect has driven his car through a 7-Eleven and his car is full of drugs and alcohol, the police don't really need to ask a whole lot of questions. So you'll often find that people who are arrested aren't Mirandized because police don't feel they need to interrogate this person. So for that reason, it is one of the most misunderstood legal concepts. The mere fact you haven't been read your Miranda rights does not automatically mean you're getting out of jail free.
Let's talk about your experience. Have you had cases where that have been thrown out because of this very issue? They weren't read their Miranda rights.
Sure, but it's unbelievably rare. First of all suppression motions, anytime you're looking to exclude any evidence, whether it's a statement or drugs found in a car or weapons or something like that, those have a very, very low probability of success. And suppression motions involving Miranda are an even smaller subset of those cases. And it's because, number one, police often don't Mirandize anyone because they're not interrogating them. Again, you need those two things present. They need to be in custody and they need to be interrogated. Not all arrests involve those factual situations. So it's unbelievably rare to get anything suppressed, and Miranda is among those that is rarely the result of a suppression motion.
All right.
Hey, fellas, good to have you with us.
So interesting.
You all have the right to remain silent.
Thank you.
Keep that in mind.
I don't think we do here.
Then you will need to read the rest of the...
Yeah,
see, that's what happens. No. Okay. That's what happens when you tell us to be quiet. All right. Coming up, we've covered the politics surrounding that framework peace deal with Iran, but what might it mean for the average American?
Is the price of oil, that's already back at lows not seen since the war began. But what about the pain at the pump? We're watching Your Wallet next. We are back with a look at the economic impact of that framework agreement to end the conflict with Iran and reopen the Strait of Hormuz.
This morning, the average price of gas is ticking lower to just above $4 a gallon. The news also sent stocks rising, with the Dow closing at a record high on Monday as investors react to the possibility of easing tensions.
NBC News chief business correspondent Christine Romans is here with us to break down what this could mean for us when we start feeling some relief. So Joe just said around for right now, it's looking this morning like they're $4.04 a gallon. But how quickly do we think that gets back to pre-war prices?
So service stations, they fill up every 2 or 3 days. So you'll start to see, as new shipments come in for these service station owners, you'll start to see prices drift lower.
Okay.
Patrick DeHaan at Gas Buddy tells me heading into July 4th, you could see a 10 cents to 25 cents a gallon come off the price, which is amazing. But don't hold your breath for pre-war levels anytime soon. That's $2.98. We are really far from there. And think of all the damage that's been done to the supply chains and to actually energy infrastructure because of this war in the Middle East. You still don't have the strait moving at full force yet. In fact, it's barely moving this morning. A couple of things to think about there. You need to see demining of the Strait of Hormuz. That's where, a fifth of the world's energy used to go through before the war. You've got to see it open. You have to see companies feel like their crews are safe and can transit through there. And you have to make sure that the insurance policies are going to cover whatever kind of exigencies happen. So there's still more work to do.
Not the snap of a finger.
No,
there.
it's not.
So, but still, how are markets responding to all of this? And just beyond gas prices, what is this going to mean for the average American?
It was quite a day yesterday for stock prices. And I've talked to you guys a lot about the split screen, the Wall Street, Main Street. Wall Street is having a great spring and summer. The Dow hit a record high yesterday. NASDAQ had a very, very good run there. But at home, we still are feeling the bite of 4.2% inflation. And you can see we've marked on this chart where the war began. All of those higher energy prices are just starting to bleed through into other prices. We talked about diesel prices surging as well. Farmers, ranchers, truckers, anything you're moving in this country with diesel costs more, and that price gets passed along all the way down the food chain, literally. So we're seeing higher prices for fruits and vegetables, for different kinds of food, even for the shrink wrap that goes around a head of lettuce. Those prices have been rising because of the war with Iran and because of that surge in energy prices. So I want to say, yay, stocks are doing well. Yay, gas prices are coming down. But there's a lot of work to do. And I don't think you should hold your breath for pre-war levels anytime soon.
All right. Also, though, this is like this whole split screen makes it quite interesting. Well, there's a lot of reasons that the Fed meeting tomorrow is interesting.
Yeah.
We've got a new Fed chair. But this whole sort of like mixed bag of numbers here, what does this mean they're looking for?
Yeah, we had thought that the Fed might be leaning toward cutting interest rates, lowering borrowing costs so that it could protect the job market. But we've learned the job market is holding in there pretty well. And you've got that inflation number I just told you about and big concerns about inflation. So we'll be listening to see if the Fed signals that maybe the next move might be leaning toward raising interest rates. In fact, markets are factoring in an interest rate hike sometime later this year. And that's something that consumers would feel right away. If you're buying a new car, if you're leasing a new car, if you're trying to refinance a mortgage, if you have credit card debt, any kind of debt is going to cost more money. So watching that there, I really want to see this Iran situation resolved and really the strait opened. And then you've got, experts tell me, into 2027 before you've got energy supplies that are right-sized. We have global supply stockpiles that are at decades lows. In the United States, our strategic petroleum reserve, our emergency supplies, that stockpile is the smallest it's been since the Reagan administration. So that just tells you how behind we are on the energy frontier.
All right, Christine Romans, thank you so much.
Fox Corporation has announced it plans to buy video streaming giant Roku in a deal valued at $22 billion.
Fox also owns the streaming service Tubi, so the acquisition will soon make it the third largest streaming player in the U.S. According to Nielsen, Roku commands 3% of all streaming viewership in the U.S. That puts it in fifth place behind YouTube, Netflix, Disney, and Amazon.
NBC News business and economy reporter Ali Canal joins us with more on this media merger. Ali, good morning. So as part of Fox's plan to buy Roku, it's also going to buy its namesake channel and customer data. Fox's Roku is going to continue to operate as a standalone platform. Walk us through how the deal came together. Just why did Fox want to buy Roku?
Hey, good morning, Joe. Well, it's really all about distribution, right? And what's interesting here is Fox just isn't buying a streaming platform. It's really buying the gatekeeper to a lot of that content. So now every time someone turns on Roku, Fox is going to have a major say and be able to control how people find that content that's right there on the home screen. That's a really powerful position for Fox to be in, especially since it owns Tubi. That's another free ad-supported streaming service. It's done very well for Fox, has this massive growth. So Fox already knows that something like this works here. So rather than spending billions on trying to just create another streaming platform, Fox is saying, you know what, why don't we own the distribution and how people actually are able to find this content?
Do we think that this is just like a sign of things to come when it comes to the media space, these mergers?
Look, Savannah, we've seen over the past few years, there's been several mergers, acquisitions, consolidations, spinoff, you name it, and it's happened here. And for a long time, streaming was all about building the next big subscription service. Now the focus is certainly shifting toward advertising, customer data, having some of that distribution here. And if Fox can make this work, other media companies might start to say, hey, rather than licensing our content to third-party apps, third-party platforms, maybe we need a bigger stake in that distribution, in how people find the content that is out there. So it'll be interesting to see how consumers actually respond to this new merger.
No doubt. Allie Canal, thank you so much.
Well, this is a big one that a lot of us will probably be interested in. An investigation is revealing this morning that rideshare apps Uber and Lyft can have wildly different prices.
Yeah, Consumer Reports found customers were often given different fares when they booked the same rides at the same time. NBC News Chief Consumer Investigative Correspondent, News Now anchor Vicki Nguyen is here with more on this one. Vicki, good morning.
Hi, guys. I think it's happened to a lot of us. If you've ever been in a group and you're comparing Uber and Lyft prices with someone else to go somewhere, you may have noticed the prices don't always match. This investigation found it happens a lot, and fares can differ by as much as 160% for the same trip. We tried it for ourselves, and we also talked with the lead reporter on this investigation to ask how you can get the best price on your next ride.
On Uber and Lyft, it's simple. Choose a destination and get your fare. But some customers are frustrated by price swings.
How is price surging on Uber legal?
Uber prices these days are like being in a toxic relationship with your ex.
Now, a new Consumer Reports investigation found many riders saw sharply different prices for the same trips requested at the same time.
The median difference between the lowest and the highest price groups was 50%.
So in some cases, you might be charged $100. I'd be charged $50.
That's right.
Reporter Derek Kravitz says 174 volunteers across 18 states checked fares on hundreds of rides. In Austin, Texas, prices range from $25 to $65 for the same route ordered at the same time, a 160% difference. Uber and Lyft have long used surge pricing, changing fares based on demand, driver availability, and traffic. But these findings raise questions about whether these apps are using personalized or surveillance pricing, setting unique prices for each customer based on their personal data.
We found that they have the capabilities to look at a lot of different things, namely how you interact with the app, how accurately or fast you type an address, and whether or not you're going to a daycare to pick up a child and you're a little bit late and it's a hot summer day.
Data, he says, could help companies estimate how much a customer is willing to pay. A spokesperson for Uber called the investigation flawed, saying prices can change second by second based on factors including routing and even slight GPS differences, telling NBC News Uber does not personalize prices, period. Consumer Reports says some routes were ordered by volunteers in the same location, but others were not. So my 12 NBC colleagues and I requested a trip to the Museum of Natural History with the same pickup address at the same time.
3, 2, 1, tap.
On Uber, the highest price was $35.96, the lowest $28.35, a 27% difference. On Lyft, it was a 37% difference. Intern Sebastian Sotom got the highest price.
I'm a college student, so I use Uber and Lyft pretty much every day. To have the highest price was shocking.
Lyft has previously denied using surveillance pricing, but did not respond to our request for comment. In March, the House Oversight Committee announced an investigation into whether Uber, Lyft, and other companies use surveillance pricing algorithms. Both companies say they use customer data to offer discounts, which Kravitz calls a form of pricing personalization. Regularly take the same trip, you may be less likely to get a coupon. But consumers have no way to know what's driving each fare.
It should be the same for everybody, the same price.
And I think a lot of people agree with that. We asked Uber about our demonstration. A company spokesperson said even though the app showed the same address, our phones registered slightly different GPS locations based on where each person was sitting, even calculating that we were a city block apart. But as you saw there, we were all sitting in the same room. So they say that is what accounted for the 27% price difference, guys.
We're going to scream at you now because we're a block apart.
Yeah, I mean, it was surprising.
I think you hear this and you're like frustrated. Like, how could I be getting, especially you hear about an intern here who works here who is getting the highest price and he uses it every day. You're like, what, can you reward me?
Right.
What can consumers do about this?
Okay, so if you are traveling, obviously in a group with anyone else, everybody should be logging on and seeing what's the best price.
No kidding.
If you're traveling alone, check both Uber and Lyft because there can be big price differences between the apps. A recent National Bureau of Economic Research study found that only 1 in 6 riders check both apps, and prices can differ by an average of 14%. There is some new competition as well. Some major cities have those self-driving Waymos. There's a new app called Empower, but you definitely want to do your research. The reviews on those services are mixed. Critics say ultimately this is an area where lawmakers, they need to get involved, guys, and protect consumers. But the thing is, Consumer Reports said Uber and Lyft control 95% of the rideshare market. So there's not a lot of competition out there.
Here in New York.
Even another one?
Yeah, in Curb in New York, you can get a cab and it's set and you don't have to worry about the rate.
Yeah.
That's been our alternative sometimes, and it's usually a cheaper option, but obviously not in most cities.
Right, exactly. But that's a good tip, too.
That is really, I can't believe y'all sitting in the same room and that happening.
Right? We didn't think it would be 27 and 37% difference. Right. And that was very eye-opening.
Wow. All right. Thank you so much, Vicki. That was great.
On the educational front, new data out reveals nearly half of the top 50 universities in the world are located in North America. The majority of those are right here in the U.S., part of an annual list from U.S. News and World Report.
This year, though, more than 2,000 institutions were ranked based on academic research and reputation. It's meant to help students make the best decision about where to continue their education.
More on this list, we're joined now by Lamont Jones. He's the managing editor of education at U.S. News. Lamont, good to have you with us again. We're going to get to the top schools in a moment, but first, just quickly walk us through how your team comes up with the list. I know this latest edition includes universities from more than 100 countries. So how do you even begin to narrow that down?
Good morning, and thanks. It's great to be with you. Well, our methodology, first of all, is data-driven, and it's powered by data and metrics from our data partner, Clarivate. And we use the data from their Web of Science core collection and also their insights benchmarking and analytics. And so what that's aimed at doing is showing those schools that are global and regional research, high in the research reputation and in their academic excellence to help narrow down and identify the schools that are contributing the most to increasing global knowledge.
Let's dive in. We don't have time for the full list, but give us some highlights here in this top 10.
Okay, well, Harvard University is at number 1, mainly based on the strength of their publication output. That's one of the metrics that U.S. News looks at in these well-respected rankings is their publication output, the citations, the percent of their books, writings, research that are most cited, also reputation among other schools globally and nationally in their region. MIT is number 2 based largely on their quality of papers published. Stanford's in at number 3, has a very strong reputation in research and publications. Next up, 4 and 5 are University of Oxford and University of Cambridge, both in the United Kingdom. And then rounding out the top 10 are Tsinghua University in China, the University of California, Berkeley out there on the West Coast, followed by University College London, and then Columbia University in New York.
So since this is global this year, tell us, which countries had the most schools make these overall rankings?
Well, that's a great question. China this year has had the most, 409 schools out of the approximately 2,250 that are ranked. 30 schools in the top 200 China has, up from 27 last year. So they excel in publication volume. However, the United States, with 275 schools ranked, has 22 of the top 50 schools. And that's powered by the U.S. schools, much more research impact and publication citations. And then India's at number 3 with 123 schools ranked.
What surprised you the most about the overall list this year?
Well, what's really interesting is that schools in that region, Latin America, rose really highly in the rankings, those that were ranked. In fact, they averaged about 63-point jump in rankings, and 5 of those top 10 are in Brazil. in Latin America. So that surge, along with a number of Chinese schools surging, were very interesting this year.
We know this can be very overwhelming for students and for parents. So with these rankings in mind, just what's your advice for students trying to figure out where they should go? What should they prioritize?
Well, U.S. News, we recognize that this is one of the most important decisions anybody's going to make and one of the most expensive. So what should be prioritized is up to each individual student and the student's family. But some things that we find that are important to people universally is the academic strength of a school. That's important. One's personal interests and your academic and your career goals, the quality of faculty, the climate of a campus, a region of the nation or the world that you want to study in, research impact, a school's overall reputation. There are a lot of things to help figure out. USnews.com, free information on these rankings on how to choose a college, whether you're leaving the U.S. to go to school or want to come into the U.S. It's just so important to inform yourself and make the best decision for yourself. And we try to help students do that.
All right. Lamont Jones, thanks so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.